So my fiance's sister, who is fairly recently divorced, was in town, and she said she actually uses this podcast to screen potential guys for dating. Let's dive into this and more as we head to the back nine.
This is the Back Nine with Dennis Williams and Josh Mora.
So Josh, true story. Jenny was in town, and she said that she will occasionally have guys listen to the Back Nine podcast to test their emotional maturity, I would say. That's basically what you're testing if you're listening to our podcast, because it's not about golf.
When we were planning this, I don't know that, and we thought of many, many uses for what this podcast could be. I'm not sure that we thought of that particular. How are they going to screen for, I guess I don't know, are they looking at us to screen? Gee, Dennis sounds, you're going to marry her sister. So
it's more like, do you have the depth to actually handle a show like this?
I get it now. Yeah. Well, that's great that we're creating that.
Right.
Well, right. How do you figure out what guys you're screening? But I get it that now she's exposing them to the podcast to say, hey, what do you think about this?
What do you think about two guys talking about other stuff?
Yeah.
Like deep stuff, getting into the fact that they're girl dads and all kinds of different things.
So the question that then, what have the results been? I mean, what did she share any of the...
It's going to be really hard for me to say. You do know where she lives, right?
Yes.
Okay, then we don't need to say any more than that because we don't want to offend anybody.
Okay, all right.
It's just...
there are bad guys everywhere, and there are good guys and introspective guys everywhere.
There are more fish in the sea in certain seas. Let's just say that.
Okay.
That's all I'll say.
All right.
But
we'll leave it there.
I think the dating pool for her is limited, so this helps her not waste her time, is the bottom line, right?
Did she share where they are failing?
Where they're failing. Do you want to get into all that? Because it's a lot. It's pictures with dead
headlines.
It's pictures with dead animals.
Yeah.
It's bad credit scores.
Mm-hmm. All the stuff we talked about in season one.
All the stuff we talk about that you don't want to do. It's too many pictures of yourself in the gym. What else?
Well, it is.
And they always say you don't want a picture with a fish. You got to take that a step further now. You don't want pictures with dead animals, period.
Okay.
Whether it's a dead fish or like all of those kinds of things.
What I was wondering, and you're going to see what I'm doing here, is if she was finding that some of the men that she was trying to date or starting to date were not spiritually connected. If that was something that was coming across or not coming across in the dating that is coming across in this podcast.
Well, if that is the case, this would be an episode to listen to test for that.
This is what I'm saying.
That's a beautiful
Thank you for playing
segue.
along.
That's a beautiful segue to Tracy McDonough, the owner of Healing Moments, who is going to join us now. And I got to tell you, you talk about energy and people leading you to people. Our good friend Curie introduced us, and we've been doing some work with Tracy and helping her market her business. But it's more than that. Like, people put people together in this world at times in their life when you need them, when they're supposed to be there. And I've always believed that, but I really... This experience is, and you being on the show, Tracy, we're so thrilled to have you. It's great to have you.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
Well, your journey is incredible. We want to get into it, but maybe first, tell us what you do so our audience is prepared to hear what you do at Healing Moments and who you're trying to help.
Do a lot.
Yeah.
I have a holistic integrative wellness center. I combine the whole mind, body, spirit model because we are whole beings with emotions and thoughts and physical problems and all kinds of things that go with that. So I feel like I used to be a personal trainer, and you can go to the gym every single day, but if you're severely depressed and you eat crap, not going to do anything good for you.
Right.
So my whole focus is really bringing all of that together so that we can really create a healing response for people.
And this is becoming more of a part of my life, but I can tell you the guy sitting next to me right now, this has been a big part of his life. And I am so glad I introduced the two of you because your energy when I saw you guys meet last week was incredible. So I'll let you ask the next question because it really was. Seeing you two for the first time together was amazing.
I did feel that the moment, like you had your guard up a little bit. And then when you stuck your hand out to me and I reached in to hug you and your eyes lit up. And I think it was my energy and your energy kind of meeting. Not that mine is necessarily so special. But once we booked that you were going to come on and do this with us, I've been looking forward to it because I think there are so many people, men and women, who are interested in this space. They're longing to find other ways to connect, and they don't know what this is or how to approach it. So maybe that's the question there. What exactly is this? Can you put this into words? And how would you suggest that people get started exploring this kind of healing, spiritual connection?
You're really talking about the energy part of it.
Yeah.
Because the physical part of it, people know. So we're energy beings, and everything has a frequency, including us. Every part of us has different frequencies. We have different energy centers that have different frequencies. And the old saying, what you put out is what you get back, is a real thing, right? Everything's a frequency. So when you can think of it that way, not in some kind of woo-woo way, but actually in science, right? If we can measure your frequency and measure my frequency, they're probably very similar, which is why we connected the way we did. It's what happens when we have a thought about someone and the phone rings and they call. Did they call because you thought of them, or did you think of them because they were calling? So it's really just, we give off ions, we give off energy. And what I do is I help people raise their frequency or their energy in order to help heal their body, because low frequencies are what create illness and disease, right? When you have a lot of inflammation in your body, your frequency is lower. When you're depressed, your frequency is lower. When you eat food with that have low frequency, like processed foods, when you eat food from the planet, those are high frequency foods. Those are live foods. Those are the things that raise our frequency. So that's what I do. I help elevate people's frequencies.
And how would you have people start approaching that besides understanding? I mean, you talk about the science, and that was part of my journey, was understanding this isn't woo-woo. There's actual science behind this. It's from time immemorial. How would you suggest they take the first step to approach it?
Find someone who does the work and have a conversation. When people come to me, they have to sit with me for 30 minutes at least. And we talk about life. We talk about who they are, what they do, what their problems are on every plane. And a big part of what I do is education. Mm-hmm. So find someone that will educate you. Find somebody that really understands what they're doing themselves and let them educate you and explain it in a way that you'll understand, because I speak many different languages, right? Every single person I talk to hears things differently.
Yeah.
So what I say really has to do with what that person needs to hear.
So I've had the great privilege of listening to a lot of testimonials, because that was part of what we did a couple weeks ago with some of your clients. And the words that they said and the things that they said were so astonishing to me, because it was more than just about energy and things that you guys are, it was life-changing. It was autoimmune disease. I've been to 100 doctors and I can't get better until I saw Tracy. It was like cancer issues. It was one after another of legitimate things, not just I'm feeling lousy, like real health problems that you have gotten people over the hump on. And that's what's extraordinary to me. Yeah. How do you do it?
Yeah, I cried all day listening to all those. It was so powerful for me. That's how I do it. I listen to people. When you go to a doctor, especially a specialist, all they will see and all they care about is the symptom that you're there for. They're not trained to do all the things. So that's what I do. First, I listen, because they could be going through I have a client who's going through some major cancer right now. And I sat with her and listened to her relationship before she got cancer, what was going on in her life, what she eats, what kind of mood she's in every day, what her job is about, how much stress does she have from all the things. And then we just start picking that all apart and trying to work on the things that are most important. Stress is the number one inflammatory problem that we have, right? It creates so much inflammation, and your body can't be sick if you don't have a ton of inflammation in it.
We'll be right back. Friends, I want to tell you about a really exciting company called Peat Learning. Peat is dedicated to helping organizations of all sizes optimize their training initiatives. They specialize in enabling the development of AI-powered courses, which can then be tailored for all kinds of corporate training needs. Peat Learning offers a suite of customizable and extremely cost-effective solutions that enable companies to deliver personalized workforce learning to their employees. Put simply, Peat is an indispensable partner for any evolving company. So visit Peat Learning at peat.com. That's PETE.com.
If you need a benefit auctioneer for your next fundraising gala, hire Eric Goodman, who's broken fundraising records all over the country. Josh and I have known Eric for over 30 years, and he's one of the most passionate, energetic, and hardworking people we know. Eric's consulting strategies and successful fundraising techniques is why he raised $1 million in 10 minutes at a recent event. Visit yourfundraisingteam.com to see a video of his work, testimonials, and then book with Eric today so your nonprofit can have a record-breaking night.
All right, back to the show.
So look, is there anything practically, I want to talk about that stress thing, because I guarantee you 99% of the people listening to this podcast are encountering stress. They might even be listening to podcasts to get rid of their stress,
For
right?
sure.
Of things that just unwind. What are some things people can do practically? If they can't come see you, what are a couple of tips that people could do to relieve stress?
Yeah, we call that the Healing Moments experience. What can you do outside of my place? I think meditation is the number one thing. And people don't really understand what that means. What does meditation mean? Meditation could be something different for me than it is for you. It's really just about negating all the outside world. And if that means walking on the beach, if that means going to the gym, if that means sitting in quiet, if it means taking a bath, it could mean a lot of different things to people. Meditation is really the number one thing. Exercise, I've had a conversation with someone recently about exercise. Exercise is great because mentally it relieves stress, but it actually puts a lot of stress on the physical body. So exercising is great as long as you're counteracting all the oxidative stress that you're creating in the body. I don't know. It just depends on who you are and what you like to do. It's getting away from all of the stress causing things in your life and doing something that actually makes you feel good and it makes you laugh and makes you able to breathe. Breathing is a big thing. I have people set their alarm every hour and really sit down for 2 minutes and do some deep breathing because most people don't breathe well at all.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with formalizing that process or any process that helps create quiet. When Dennis and I have talked about meditation, and I've had a pretty steady practice for about 6 or 7 years. I was late to that, right? I mean, that's not all that long compared to the rest of my life. He's talked about having trouble quieting down his thoughts. And I do too on a semi-regular basis where sometimes I'm in meditation and thoughts just pop in and I spiral and I feel like I don't have a good quality meditation. Kind of like sometimes when you wake up and you feel like I didn't have a great quality of sleep. Are there tips? Are there things that you would recommend for when that happens? How do we create that stillness when our minds are not necessarily cooperating?
Yeah, well, we talk about this a lot, right? You would never tell your lungs to stop breathing or your heart to stop beating. You don't tell your mind to stop thinking. It's about engaging in the thoughts, right? It's about when the thought comes in and your mind takes off, creating an awareness around it, right? Okay, now I recognize my mind is taking off and most people just get frustrated and give up. Don't do that. Take a deep breath, forgive yourself for a minute and start over. If you were talking to a friend and they were doing it and they couldn't, they kept going off with thoughts, what would you say? Take a breath, man. Try again. It's okay.
Yeah.
We're really hard on ourselves. We think everything has to be perfect. Meditation doesn't have to be perfect. When you're trying to meditate, that's a good meditation.
Well, and somebody said it's a practice, right? So you're always practicing.
That's right. It is practice.
And you're never a professional. We're not very well. Bringing a golf analogy,
right?
Right. We practice and practice. We miss a lot of shots. So it's the same type of thing. You're going to miss a few shots. Your mind's going to wander, but but if you keep practicing, you're going to get better at it. The consistency is the key. What are some other practical things that people can do in their life to just not just stress, but to live healthier and happier? And stay away from the doctor.
Relationships and community are a big thing. Mm-hmm. It keeps us happy. And when we're happy, we're healthier. It's really important to connect with people. It's really important to start looking at your food intake. Yeah. So many people eat processed foods. And I hear it all the time, even from moms. Oh, but I'm in a hurry. It's all I can do. I don't have time. I can go through a drive-through. It's really important. This is the only car we ever really own. And we put great gas and oil in our cars. And we don't put great gas in our bodies.
And it's also a diet, yes. What we ingest, yes. Being out in nature, yes. Movement. You talked about exercise, but just movement, right? Movement. Whether that's walking, qigong, tai chi, all of those things have these kinds of spiritual properties that help one get in touch with our inner selves, our spiritual selves, our true selves, and people who are kind of, I don't want to say relationship experts, but success experts talk about that being the key to fulfillment, is that alignment with spiritual self.
Yeah. Yeah. And being out in nature, it's really important. I think the centarians, right? One of the number one things that says you will be a centarian, one is community and one is movement out in nature, connecting with nature, right?
You have a lot of tools at your disposal. I've been there. I've used an extraordinary experience with the vibroacoustic bed, and I want to get back in there. And we don't have to talk about my journey, but you have a lot of things that you've learned and tools at Healing Moments that people can use. Maybe take us through a couple of those and what they do and what they're used for.
The vibroacoustic sound lounge is my favorite thing. So we're working with frequencies. Everything has a frequency, right? Pain has a frequency, stress has a frequency, grief, trauma, inspiration, and the frequencies in some music. So you have headphones on, you're listening to frequencies in music, and the bed picks up the frequency and starts to vibrate at the same frequency. So it creates an entrainment between the brain and the body, because a lot of people are super disconnected between the brain and the body, right? And then it bypasses the nervous system and takes you down into parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest, repair, relax, restore. So it's a great, great session.
So a quick story about that. I went in to do a session with that, and I had a ton of pain in my shoulders and my neck, and I was sure it was from working out. It was 100% from stress, because as soon as I left, it wasn't from working out, because as soon as I left, it went away. And then I realized, you know what, that's all just stress tension, right? That was all it was. Because if it was from working out, it would probably not have gone away. Like it's like a muscle pull or some soreness like that I thought it was. It went away. It was crazy. And then, of course, it came back because I can't completely get rid of my stress forever. But that was astonishing to me. So it did work, even the first time I used it.
Yeah.
How did you, Tracy, come to know that you had this ability to teach this? I mean, I think we would all recognize at some elemental level that we have the ability to receive this and practice this. But being a practitioner, being a teacher, a healer, is another level. Did you know that you had this when you were younger? Did you come into this? Did you learn this?
Yeah, my mother said when I was 2 years old, I used to get on benches in the park or at the grocery store and put my hands around people's heads. And I would close my eyes and put my forehead on their forehead, then look them in the eye and ask them if they feel better. And they would look at my mother and say, like, how did she know I had a headache? Or how did she know I just lost someone? Or something about this child. And, you know, those days, it was in the 60s, they weren't afraid to let you walk up to strangers. And just all my life, I've always been very compassionate about people and animals and flowers and
Yep. How do people find you?
I'm in Boca Raton. So my number is 561-931-2187. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
I mean,
Healing Moments, your website, and because your big thing is coaching, right? So you don't have to be. This is a nationwide. It's actually an international podcast. People can call you from anywhere. You can do Zoom. You can do, in this day and age, you don't have to live in South Florida to work with you. I know your coaching business is really expanding.
Yeah, and I do distance energy healing as well. Sure.
Okay.
If you could leave one nugget for somebody who is on the fence about beginning to explore this space, other than, well, just start, what would it be?
I think if you just try, it's not magic, it's real. It's frequencies, it's quantum physics. Look up quantum physics.
Yeah.
And the proof is that you got to try it, because there's dozens and dozens of people, hundreds of people that she's helped. And I was witness to the people talking about it and how great it is. So thank you so much, Tracy. Thanks for joining us.
6,000 clients.
Wow.
6,000. See, I didn't even do it close to
Fantastic.
justice. 6,000 clients.
6,000 clients.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's
well,
amazing.
I can just say, I've been on a similar journey. I haven't worked with you directly. I would love to. But yeah, it's real. It's definitely real.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
No, thank you.
Well, great stuff, Josh. I think we've got a lot of takeaways. I mean, I hope everybody's taking notes. And maybe we should have back nine notepad for episodes like this, where the things people need to write down. I'm actually not joking.
No, that's for sure. And I can tell you this. I mean, I have not worked with Tracy directly, but my life changed. A really good friend of mine whom I had worked with had been in this space. She's not a practitioner the way that Tracy is, but she is a devotee, my friend Lisa, and she kind of introduced me to this. And she gave me a great book that was about relationship healing. And that kickstarted my entire journey And my life is transformed. I'm such a different person than I was 6-7 years ago when I started this. And it's now a part of my daily routine. And it has helped me be more fulfilled in everything that I do. And I have this commitment now, stretching every morning, meditation every morning, walking in nature when I can. And it's really, I struggled with how do I incorporate this into my busy kind of traditional corporate life? And as I've made space for that, it's the corporate life stuff that has pushed away.
Yeah.
This is the stuff that matters.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's what you do. You start to filter out the mess and the stress and all those kinds of things. And you realize what's important when you focus on yourself and the quality of your life. I still struggle, but I work at it. Like we talked about, it's a practice. I do meditation. I do the walks on the beach. I'm working with Tracy on a few health issues that I have personally that I've battled over the last 7 years. And boy, I'll tell you what, the one thing that became very clear to me was we all may have these things inside us, whether it's cancer or whatever, and stress can speed it up. That's what I learned. Stress can make those things come into your body faster than they may have otherwise. So that's the number one thing I need to work on. I need to remove as much stress from my life as possible so that I can be on that healing journey as well.
We carry traumas from earlier in our lives. We carry generational traumas, things that our parents, our grandparents have passed to us. I think the next step for you, and maybe you're feeling this already, we haven't talked about this, is when you're in a conversation or with somebody else and you can read their energy just because you know it, just because you're in your own awareness. Like with Tracy, I felt her positivity from the moment we met, and then again several times in that conversation. And you see it in the other people who don't get it yet. And you see them struggling with it. Even as they're trying to conceptualize it intellectually, you see that they don't get it. And the only thing you can do for those people is keep showing up and keep trying to set an example for them. Maybe they'll never get there. But it's really interesting because as you keep immersing yourself in this process, your vibration changes, your energy changes to the point that you can read and see other people. And it's thrilling to know that you can connect with people in that way.
I love what you just said. And I'll take that a step further and tell you that I used to fixate on trying to fix negative people, right? Like I'm a fixer. I want to fix what's wrong with you. I want to help you fix you. Now, if you have that negative energy and I sense that I can't help you.
Right.
I'm moving on. Like I'm not going to stay in that negative space and try to fix you if you have no aptitude or energy to put back, right? If you don't have any positive energy to give back at all and you're going to stay in that negative space. I went through this recently with someone. I'm out.
Yeah.
Like I'm out. I'm not going to stay there with you. Like that's it.
But if that person is struggling and they're curious about it and they want to get better,
100%.
we can help show the way and we can
100%.
take them to Tracy. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, we'll take her to Tracy. Yeah. Well, great show. I knew this was going to be a good one for you. And I was so glad I introduced you. And I'm really excited to watch the two of you together. And I'm really excited to continue to work with Tracy. And we're really excited to have you this time and every time on the Back Nine. We're really happy that you could join us today on the Back Nine podcast, and we're really trying to build a community.
Yeah, so please not only listen, subscribe, follow us, download, share with your friends that you found something in our community here.
We really, really appreciate everybody who's downloaded even a single episode and shared the time with us. We know your time is valuable. Please also give us a 5-star review if you can. Thanks so much.
So I've mentioned Three Bridges Consulting. What they do is they market your company. They lead the creative, they find the audience. What they produce, commercials, social media content, possibly even documentaries. It's long form, it's short form. One recent success story, working with a home services company in Chicago, a company that refaces cabinets. They launched a campaign in January. They had 5 times the revenue of their previous January and $1 million more in revenue than in any prior month after they launched this campaign. Once again, it's Three Bridges Consulting. The number 3, bridgesconsulting.co. The Back Nine is meticulously curated by Janine Stella and recorded at Pixelworks Studios in Delray Beach, Florida.